All right, so welcome, senior parents. This is it. Mike J, would you lead us in prayer if you don't mind?
I would be happy to.
Thank you.
This is a prayer that I have used every year at this senior parent meeting. And I think with what we have experienced this past year, it's even more appropriate. And I think as we pray this, you'll realize that. So as we gather here tonight, we gather in our separate spaces, but regardless, we gather in the presence of our God. And we begin in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit. And this prayer is called Be at Peace by St. Francis de Sales. Do not look forward in fear to the changes in life. Rather, look to them with full hope that as they arise, God, whose very own you are, will lead you safely through all things. And when you cannot stand it, God will carry you in his arms. Do not fear what may happen tomorrow. The same everlasting Father who cares for you today will take care of you then and every day. He will either shield you from suffering or will give you unfailing strength to bear it. Be at peace and put aside all anxious thoughts and imaginations. And we pray this and ask God's blessing in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thanks, Jay. I'm going to say a couple things, then I'm going to turn it back over to Jay for just a minute. But again, welcome everybody. It's so great to see so many folks. Looks like 95 parents. That's awesome. And we are recording this so that if a parent is absent, we'll be sure that they get the information. So tonight really is, we do this every year, and the purpose is to answer those questions about the events and the goings on of that senior year, because quite frankly, it's a lot of different things. And in my notes, my little notes for this first session, I wrote pep talk. Okay, here's the deal. This is really hard for our kids, right? This is really hard. The pandemic has turned so many things upside down, and especially this class of 2021, when you think about where they started a year ago, almost a year ago, March 13th, I remember going home in the lockdown thinking, oh, 2 weeks, 3, oh my gosh, that's going to be so long to be at home. How can we ever survive it? And then of course, that whole spring, our class of 21 as juniors missing out on prom, and there's just activities of the end of the year. We normally would have taken them on retreat. And then of course, coming into their senior year, there's so many losses. And so my pep talk is this, and I don't mean this trite by any stretch of the imagination, but it would be really easy to get stuck in the things that we're losing and the things that are different and that aren't the same and that we'll miss out on. And I think the pep talk is really to remind all of us, to remind ourselves that there are things that are beautiful about this time of year. There are events that are going to happen. We are going to make it through. And that I think if we can have that attitude to find those joys in what we do have, and to have that gratitude and that sense of appreciation, and that we can make these last few weeks, months of high school meaningful and significant. So I don't mean pep talk in a trite way or in a naive kind of Pollyanna way, but it's really rooted in that Christian message that through suffering we know that you come through on the other end and you find that goodness, you find that new light, you find resurrection in the death of the things that we've lost. So tonight you'll hear some things that are part of that life-giving approach to this senior year. We feel that. I feel it intensely, especially, I don't know if you probably saw that I'm actually leaving BSM. I'm in a little bit of denial, but this will be the last class that I hand a BSM diploma to. So I feel that weight too. Ms. Dahlstrom feels that weight. Jay feels that weight of really wanting to make these last few weeks and months of senior year meaningful, significant, and important to our seniors and to our parents. We forget that so many of these events, they're focused on our students, but really they also are about our parents, and we are acutely aware of that. So tonight, again, you'll hear some information. You'll probably have some questions. You can put those in the chat, and we'll try to keep those going as we go. But again, we're here just as an initial conversation. Here's a lay of the land. And then as more information becomes available, which is what we always do, we'll keep communicating that out to you. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jay. He's going to give us a couple quick things about things that are coming up for senior parents.
Sounds good. Thank you, Sue. I think also we need to concentrate and think about what we've learned from these months. And if anything, I think we have learned not to take anything for granted. Because I think, and I was talking to some seniors just today, and we got around to that topic. And one of the guys said, I've just learned to appreciate just the little things, like shaking hands with my friends, spending time with my friends, and how much more those things are going to mean to me when I'm returned to those things. And I think one thing we can be so proud of is the way our kids have dealt with things this year. They have handled everything so well. With the seniors, especially at the beginning of every school year, I tell the seniors that they really set the tone for the school. And we just prayed with them last week and met with them last week at their senior meeting during homeroom. And I told them how very proud we are of them because, especially this year when it's been so difficult, their leadership has really come through. Um, Speaking of senior parents, um, I always have told seniors and all kids that the hardest job in the world is being a parent. I mean, it's the hardest job. You never stop being a parent, regardless of how old your children are. You never stop being a parent. I know that was true of my mom. I was 50 something, and my mom still thought I was a kid. So never stops being a mom, never stops being a parent. Um, every year, I have facilitated a senior parents' time of reflection. And last year I was concerned about this because this is something that really is it's so meaningful for the parents who decide to be involved in this. It's a sharing of your experiences with your children from the very early days of their childhood up to where they are now. And it's sharing of the past and looking at the future and the role that you will play with them and the role that God will continue to play in their lives. And last year I was concerned that it was going to be all on WebEx and it was going to be all virtual. But I tell you, it was awesome. We do 3 sessions each spring, and my concerns about the whole event were unfounded because I mean every parent that was there, um, and it's nothing that I say, it's nothing that I do, but it's the sharing that goes on among the parents who are there for those meetings. And this spring we have 3 of them, and you'll receive emails from the parent association. They do such an amazing job with the Just for Parents series, and this is one of the installments in that Just for Parents series. But they will send you an email with all the details. You need to register for the event so we can keep track of how many people are signed up, um, especially since it's a virtual thing. Um, and they'll send you all the information. They'll send you the study guides that I use, the handouts that I use. You'll have all those things. The first of those meetings, I'm going to give you the dates right now, um, and those will also be sent out to you by the Parent Association. But the first of those dates is Wednesday, April 28th. And what we do with these is we have different days and different times to hopefully meet everyone's different needs. But the first of these is Wednesday, April 28th from 11:30 to 1. It's April 28th, 11:30 to 1. Uh, and then we have 2 scheduled for Monday, May 3rd. And we have one in the morning from 8 until 9:30 and one in the evening from 6 to 7:30. And I can't tell you enough how much I really hope you'll take advantage of these. They are really super opportunities to share with other parents who realize what you're going through. And it's really helpful, I think, because for some senior parents, it's your very first child graduating. For others, maybe it's their last or after a series of graduates. So it's really helpful. And I've seen how there's that sharing going on where you can talk with each other and say, okay, were you feeling the way I am? That kind of thing. So I really hope you take advantage of those senior parents' times of reflection. The other thing I want to mention to you is our closing school mass. Um, Certainly, our masses are very different this year. We can't all be together, but I am so thankful for the technology crew at school. Definitely, if I were in charge of this, there's nothing I'd be able to do. Technologically, I am so behind. Um, but we have the technology crew has done such an amazing job of making these masses happen. We have had the seniors in the Great Hall for all 3 of the masses that we have had up to this point. Our December 8th Mass, our closing Advent Mass, and then just yesterday, we had our Catholic Schools Week Mass. Seniors have been there. Yesterday, we added juniors. and juniors were spread out in the bleachers. So, and I think it's just so good to have that kind of energy, to have the kids together. They miss those things. They miss those times together. But our closing school mass is a very special one for the seniors because there's a special prayer and blessing at that mass for the senior class. And that closing school mass will be on Wednesday, May 26th. And the mass time is from 9:15 to 10:05. And you'll receive a link so that you can also tune in to that mass on that morning. And again, it's Wednesday, May 26th. There will be a special prayer and blessing and song for the seniors that morning, mass from 9:15 to 10:05. And I know you'll hear a lot of other things tonight about all the opportunities that you'll have coming up for the senior class. And we're just thankful, very thankful that we have the opportunity to be together this year. I think it's made such a difference. Um, I'll just turn it over to Sue again.
Thank you, Jay. And if you
Sure.
want to pop off, we're just going to cover the
Oh,
usual.
I'll hang out and see if I miss anything.
See if you miss it. See if I get something wrong, and then you can just jump in. Okay, so I'm going to just jump ahead to the question that I know is on every single one of your minds. When can we get all the kids back on campus together for school? Okay, so here's the reality. First of all, that's actually a question that's on our mind every single day, because we know that having 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students every other day is not what we want. That's a mitigation strategy because of the pandemic. We would never pick that. And the ideal is to get all of our students back on campus as we normally would. So here's what we do. In our minds, we have to think about the mitigation strategies. And I can tell you that we won't be changing those strategies between now and the end of the year. And what that simply means is this idea of the 6 feet apart in classrooms, wearing masks, the hand washing, that sort of thing. So the mitigation strategies will stay the same, but here's what's going to change. As the weather changes, we start to have access to the outside as a classroom, especially for our PE classes. So the outside becomes an option. And granted, there might be rain days, so we'd have to have kind of a rain day game plan. But we know that we have the outside as an option that we don't have now. We also know that when you think about how the school operates right now, and I don't want to get too complicated about it, but with the 6 feet, right now, when students are on campus in 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, let's say you've got a class of 22 students. 22 students are never all at once in a classroom. Our biggest classrooms hold about 15 students, and that's with the 6 feet, right? It's all measured out and dots and tapes and whatever. So let's say you've got a class of 22 students, and this is right now for, let's say it's a 9th grade class. So the classroom can fit 15 students. Those 7, I'm a theology major, is it 7? The 7 extra students, there's the 7 students that don't have a spot in the classroom. What the teacher does is rotates their seating chart, and those 7 students go to what we call a virtual learning space in the school. So the virtual learning space is the theater, the atrium, the library, and now the cube. Sometimes if it's 1 or 2 students, that student can sit in a desk that's right outside the teacher's classroom. And again, what we're protecting is that 6-foot distance. And so we know that we have the outside as an option coming up. We also know that with the cube opening, we've got more opportunity for virtual learning space. And we're right now trying to figure out how many students can get on the Wi-Fi without crashing the network just in one particular space. I mean, our network is robust and strong where it needs to be. And as we move into the cube and trying to figure out how many students can we fit in there, all zooming into class, we'll start to get a better line of sight into how can we bring more students back on campus. And when I think about that concept, how can we bring more students back on campus? We're talking about 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, right? We and I'm talking about Ms. Dahlstrom and Jay, we all prioritize the senior class. So if we're going to bring students back, we would start with our seniors. So just know that this is not lost on us. We all want this. We all want this to work. And what we just need is a little more time to figure out what are the configurations in terms of space. One of the other challenges is the lunch period, but to make sure that students have enough space to eat their lunch. And we rotate through 5 different lunches. We'll look at schedules to see how many students are in which parts of the building at what time of day. And so our thought is that we're going to be working on that over the next few weeks. And we're going to try to get to a point where we can give you some definite information before we go on spring break, probably like mid-March, maybe that 3rd week in March. And hopefully, and now don't misquote me, because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we'd love to be able to get to the point where fourth quarter we can bring all of our seniors on campus at the same time. So just know that that's on our mind. We know it's on your mind, but we need to make sure that we're doing this in a very intentional way, in a way that really is faithful to those mitigation strategies. So I just like call that out there right in the beginning, because I know it's on your mind, and it's on our mind too. I can see Miss Dahlstrom smiling there.
Can I just interject really
Yeah,
quickly?
sure.
So, with our 6 foot MDH mitigation strategies, I will just let you know that it has saved us hundreds of different quarantines, because other schools that were in that 3 foot, they had to quarantine the entire classroom every time they had a COVID positive person. So, for us, since we had the 6 feet, we could just quarantine either the one person or a couple people around them. So, it saved a lot of days for our kids to just be here when they can. So just sticking to that 6 foot is just going to be great in terms of not bringing them all here and then sending them all home right away. So hopefully we can just get them here.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some things related to the last couple of weeks of high school for your seniors. So if you think in your mind of a calendar and you look at that end of May, the first event that I kind of say kicks off the final run of the senior class. So May 23rd is Baccalaureate Mass. Baccalaureate Mass is just for the parents and the graduate. Now, at first that might sound like, well, what do you mean I can't bring my sibling, I can't bring a grandparent or a favorite cousin? But we really do protect that special bond between the parents and the students. So we'll get you more information, but make sure you mark your calendar, May 23rd. And by the way, this is all on our website. We'll send you that link too. May 23rd, it's at 11 a.m. We're still trying to figure out where the event will be held. We typically have had it at the Marriott City Center, but again, we have to find out what are the guidelines for COVID and that sort of thing. Might it be at school? Could it be downtown? But we're working on it. We're committed to having the event. And the event is Mass, which is a beautiful Mass. It's my favorite Mass. It's Mass and then a brunch and then a special program. So it's a not to miss event. That's Sunday, May 23rd. You'll receive a separate invitation asking you to RSVP. And then typically we have students sign up for tables so they can sit with their friends. But that'll all come out in the next, probably after spring break. But just know that we're still planning to have that event. And I actually should preface all of this by saying, our goal is to have every event that we typically would have. However, it's going to be different. The pandemic has changed everything, but we're shooting for as much of our regular meaningful events that we always have. And if we have to modify, we have to modify. But that's our goal. So that's baccalaureate. Okay, so that's a Sunday, the 23rd. That week is the last week of school for our seniors. So Monday they come to school, Tuesday they come to school, Wednesday is that closing Mass, and really that's another beautiful Mass, closing Mass with the whole school. And then Thursday and Friday are set aside for senior finals. And Cami will skip a final. I don't dare talk about that because I might get it wrong. But that Thursday and Friday of that same week of baccalaureate, those would be days where if you're not taking your final exam, seniors don't have to come to school and they're basically done with the academic work of the year. Then that following week, Wednesday, June 2nd is commencement practice, graduation practice. So in fact, I would just say mark that down right now and check with your student to make sure that they don't have any doctor appointments or scheduled for work or scheduled for trips, that sort of thing, because they have to be at graduation practice. It's really important, one, to practice, but also that's when they get their cap and gown. So that's Wednesday, June 2nd at 9 a.m. And if you think about it, they would have been out of school for a whole week, right? Because that Wednesday was the last Mass. If they did finals, they would have come on campus Thursday, Friday. But they're back then for the graduation practice on that Wednesday. And on that day, they get their cap and gown. And the thing to think about with the cap and gown is that they have to have all of their business taken care of. Okay, so if they owe a textbook to Mr. Jones, or if they have a basketball or baseball uniform to turn in, they got to turn that in. They have to have their laptop turned back in. You know what? I just thought of this too. This is the last year of the current laptops. So we'll be I think we're offering the laptops potentially to be sold if you want to buy them for your senior. They're 4 years old. Battery is always an issue, but we may be selling those. So just stay tuned for more information about that. But they do have to turn their laptop in before they get their cap and gown. They have to have silly things like their lunch account has to be paid up and tuition paid up and library books turned in and that sort of thing. So that would be commencement practice, June 2nd, Wednesday, 9 a.m. Then that's Wednesday. And then Friday is graduation, 7 p.m. It's outside. And here's how it's going to go. Okay. Graduation is outside unless there's rain. Last year there was rain. I couldn't believe it. So it was inside. But our plan is to have graduation outside with all of our seniors on the field. They'll be outside, right? And so distanced apart. And then we're going to put as many people as we can into the stadium. Now, when I say as many people as we can, what's going to limit us, I think, is some of the COVID restrictions. And we'll just see what they are at the time. Worst case scenario, this is worst case scenario in my mind anyway, short of a whole shutdown, which we're not even going there. We have the graduates on the field. The worst case scenario would be that parents are in their cars. We have those big screens rented just in case. They worked out really well. It's like you're in a drive-in movie, but it's like a high definition drive-in movie. So you can see everything happening. And then right before it's the time for your student to walk across the stage, you would get out of the car, we'd escort you into the stadium so that when your student walks across the stage, you're in the stadium and you see it. That's the worst case scenario in my mind. The best case scenario is we have as many people as we can fit into the stadium. And then kind of a middle ground might be that each graduate can bring 2 people in or 3 people in or 4 people in. But we're going to put as many people into the stadium as we can. What we're not going to do is we're not going to disregard the prevailing guideline, okay? Because we don't want anything bad to happen. So we will follow what the guidelines are in terms of how many people can gather. And again, we get how important this is. We know that everybody wants to be at graduation. The other part is that let's say that if it were just the students on the field and just the parents in the stadium, we would have the parking lot open with those video screens so that you could bring a car of 4 people, or if grandma and grandpa want to come in a separate car, and just kind of pack people into the parking lot, see everything on the screen. You hear the audio over the radio. And we have a professional company that does that for us. So it's really high quality. And then we also will be streaming the entire graduation ceremony on the internet. So if you've got grandparents in Florida, they can just turn on their computer, turn on their phone, and see the whole thing through live stream through the web. Okay, so let me look at my notes here. And we'll keep you posted as we learn more and as things change. But I just want you to know that we are fully committed to getting as many people as we can into that stadium and make it a beautiful experience. The rain plan would be to go inside, and we'd have to deal with that. But I'm optimistic. It's June 4th. I've already started praying for good weather, so hopefully that'll work. You can join me in that praying. Okay. Let me back up a little bit to cap and gown. Caps and gowns are already ordered for your son or daughter, so you don't need to worry about ordering that. They've got their height, their weight, everything like that. If it doesn't fit on that Wednesday, we've got extras. We can swap it out, that sort of thing. I do see a question in the chat. Will the ceremony be recorded as well? Yes, the ceremony will be live streamed. And then like a few hours later, there's a digital file that you can go back and watch it again. Good question. So caps and gowns are already ordered. If your student is graduating with honors, which is related to GPA, they'll get a gold tassel. If your student is in an honor society like NHS or Math Honor Society, World Language Honor Society, Art Honor Society, they'll get a cord that they wear over their gown. And those are all provided to them. If you want to order more things, Jostens is the vendor that we use. And if you go to their website, they've got a special tab that's Benilde-St. Margaret's. And I mean, you can get whatever you want to get. They've got fancy frames, keychains, mugs, whatever it is. But if you want to order anything extra, you can do that on the Jostens website. And then the other thing is in April, your student will get, it's either 5 or 6, I think it might be 6. 6 announcements, graduation announcements. Okay, so and some people send those like along with an open house announcement or something like that, but it's an announcement, it's all paid for, you don't have to pay for it, you get it, and then if you want more, you can go to the website to get more. Okay, I'm gonna look in the chat. For grandparents that fly in for graduation, when can they find out if they can attend the actual graduation? Once we know the number, like let's say we're looking and it looks like we're gonna be able to have 500 people in the stadium, then we'll take the 217 students divided by 500 and how many tickets does each student get? Here you go. Let's say we find out we can have 1,000 people. We'll do the same thing. Divide up how many students do we have, divide them up equally. Here's your tickets. So the question, like when do we know how many people we can bring to graduation? I don't know. We'll follow what the guidelines are in terms of the number of people that can gather together. On a regular non-pandemic year, each graduate gets 6 tickets. And I tell you, when you're outside, it was pretty nice because we were able to squeeze in a few more folks along the edge. Anybody who was on this waiting list for tickets was able to get in. So I think as long as the virus and the number of people gathering together, 6 tickets is what we typically would do. But we'll just have to keep watching and let you know as we go along. But just know that we'll just divide them up equally. If we can fit 500 people, 500 people divided by the number of students. And we, by the way, normally our teachers come to graduation, but we will, quite frankly, we'll boot them to get more parents in. We would never, have the teachers take up a spot, which sounds kind of cold-hearted, but come on, we want our families there, grandma and grandpa, aunts and uncles, whoever we can fit in. So just know that we will keep you posted on tickets and how many people we can fit in, but you can sort of watch as the guidelines get published on, I think it's Minnesota Safe or whatever that website is. Okay, I've checked my notes. We do have a photographer at graduation. So when your student walks across the stage, they snap a picture. And then last year they just gave us the photos for free. I'm not sure if that was, I thought they were supposed to charge parents, but we will have Life Touch as a professional photographer. So you get that special moment. We have, there is a graduation fee that's charged to your tuition, $150. And that covers baccalaureate, all of the graduation expenses, things like the screens and the sound and all that kind of stuff. All right, what else am I missing? Oh, I got it. The after party. There are parents planning the after graduation party. And here's the thing, it's much like I've been saying, we're just going to follow what the guidelines are and do the best we can in terms of making it a fun experience, but yet safe in terms of the virus. So more information will be coming. They'll probably be asking for volunteers at some point. They, I believe, have a meeting this Friday, the parents who are on the planning committee. I think they have a meeting this Friday. I could have that wrong. And they'll get us more information. It's Katie Lervick and Nicole Jillian, who are the junior parents. It's always the junior parents that chair the party for the senior parents. Okay, that was a lot. And this is all going to be on our website. But if you have a question, pop it into the chat. Is the party typically the same evening? Yes, the senior party is the same evening of graduation. And they usually go well into the wee hours of the morning. Oh, alumni breakfast. How did I forget that? Oh, thank you. Okay. The alumni senior breakfast. I'm on my phone looking at my notes here. It is, I want to say it's April 29th. Yeah, it's April 29th. Let me share my screen here. Where's my, okay, I'm going to share my screen and show you the website. Okay, so if you go to our BSM website and you click on current families and then scroll down to senior year resources, and I'll send this link to you. This page has little accordions that pop out information. So April 29th, members of the class of 2021, they'll have a senior breakfast. They're all on campus and they be the Alumni Association. They plan an activity that connects our current students to our alumni based kind of on interest and maybe where you're going to college, that sort of thing. But it's celebrating decision day. May 1st, the students have to make this decision. They wear the colors of their school, or if they have the sweatshirt or whatever of their school, but it's a fun day. So that's April 29th. Thank you for remembering that. And then you can just see too on this website, you just punch the thing and it pops out the different, we got to change that time, 8:30, it's supposed to be 9. Photos, there's announcements, cap and gown, graduation fee, you get the picture. Okay, let me look at other questions. Well, oh, prom. Cammie's gonna talk about prom. Lots of prom questions, prom. I'll leave that for Cammie when she gets to that one. How about other questions? This is not your only shot at questions, by the way. Just email me and I can answer. Prom, okay. All right, Cammie, I'm gonna turn it over to you and then she will answer the prom question.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Skinner.
That was a lot from me.
All right. I also have a lot of information. So sorry, this is probably information overload. But a few things I want to talk about. I just wanted to run through, and I did this with the seniors the other day, about how the, since we're talking about graduation, how the graduation speaker comes to be. So the whole process of how they actually get nominated and how they get selected. So at the beginning of March, what I do is I send it out to the entire senior class. You can nominate yourself, you can nominate somebody else in the senior class. And then they have about a week to nominate somebody. And then I'll touch base with all of those who are nominated. And then they have the option of, I mean, even if they're nominated, they don't have to write a speech, but they have the option to write a kind of a 1-page, what would I put in my speech if I were the graduation speaker? And then we have a panel. So I ask the faculty, staff, and then elected students. So students are in the student council. If they're not going or trying to be the graduation speaker, they have an opportunity to be on the panel. So what that means is the kids will write up just a 1-page, this is what I want to talk about, just kind of a brief outline. They'll read them anonymously. So I facilitate all of this. I'm not a judge. They'll read them all and then they'll choose their top 5. So those top 5, I go on to say, hey, you have been selected to be a speaker finalist. They'll have about a month, 3 weeks to a month to write their entire speech. They'll actually perform their speech in front of the entire panel. And then from there, there's a whole rubric that they go down, and then this is how the speaker is selected. So it's a pretty good process. It's really thorough. It's completely anonymous, obviously, until you have the top 5 who actually perform their speech and live in front of everybody. So if you have any questions about that, just throw them in the chat and I can answer them. So from here on out, kids are in their last semester of their senior year, and attendance sometimes is a hard thing for seniors. So I guess one of the biggest things is just really encourage your child to be on time for their classes, either physically or virtually. And I know these kids are 18, so they shouldn't need a babysitter, but sometimes senior slide is a real thing. And it tends to be like, I don't know, one kid does it and then the next kid, and then it's contagious and it's terrible. So if you can try to help your own child just stay the course and finish up strong, that would be fantastic. And I've told the kids this too, but if they're supposed to be scheduled on campus, they should be here. So just kind of try to get them into that same kind of thing. If next year when they're in college, some of their professors are going to take attendance and some of them aren't. And so we've all been there, but they just need to know that there's different requirements, and if they expect it to be there, they need to actually be there. So just try to get them in that habit of, if they're supposed to be here, be here. And then if the student needs to be virtual for some reason, like they're supposed to be on campus and this is their cohort day, but they need to be virtual for this, that, and the other reason, parents, you still need to call them in. So students cannot call in themselves at this point. They're still a BSM student, so they're not in college yet, even if they're 18. So parents, please still call in if they're not going to be on campus, just so we can kind of keep track. Students cannot pick and choose what classes they want to go to virtually, physically. It's really hard to keep track. And we've had multiple occasions where we've called home and no one knows where they are and something happened. So it's really good for us. If you don't know where they are, then we do, or vice versa. So we just try to keep track of all of our kiddos. Skip a final. And then let me go through. I'm actually going to share my screen just so you guys can see all the requirements. Everybody see that?
Mhm.
Okay. I will try to make it bigger. Okay, hopefully that helps. So skip a final is basically going to be this. So the first thing is kids should have a C or higher in their classes. That's the very first thing. And the reasoning behind that is if they have lower than a C, they should be wanting to take their final so they can actually get their grade up. So if they fall below that C level, then we ask them to take their final. And that is if they get up to a C and then they put in their application and then they fall below it, you know, the day after, that then they need to take their final. The second thing is students may not have any major disciplinary referrals. So I talked through what this means with the kids, but we're all on the same page. We know what major is. The student may not have any more than 4 tardies to each class, and then we give them a little bit. We understand that they're still teenagers and they oversleep. So there's 8 tardies they can have for their first hour or second hour, depending on what quarter it is. But if they get to that 5th, I mean, 5 times being late to a class, and that's just going from either one Zoom room to another or walking down the hallway, that shouldn't happen. Unexcused absences. This one has been a big one for our virtual kiddos who stay up too late at night and they fall asleep after lunch. So this is kind of a weird thing. Typically kids sleep in the morning. We've had more people miss 6th hour or 5th hour this year than ever before, which is kind of a weird thing. But unexcused absences is you do get one oversleep for each quarter. Maybe it's a semester. Anyway, you do get one oversleep, but after that, you have to actually go to your class, even if you're a little bit late. Technology issues. We do have technology issues just because more kids are, virtual. If they have a technology issue, what I'm asking the kids to do is email their teacher right away. So they get a timestamp on it, like, hey, I can't get in. It's in the first 5 minutes of class. If it's a Wi-Fi issue at home, which has happened, or if it's a Zoom issue, sometimes the kids will be able to get in on their phones. So they can use that cellular service instead of the Wi-Fi, which works, except for there's a snafu. So we actually have a firewall up against anybody joining our Zoom rooms, except if you have a BSM account. So typically on their phone, they're not in their BSM account. So what they need to do is email their teacher and say, hey, I'm on my cell phone, please let me in, because otherwise they're going to be stuck in the waiting room. So if they call the front office, we can actually call the room and say, hey, teacher, their Wi-Fi went out, let them in on their cell phone, and then they'll be able to get in. So they won't miss their class. Okay. And I told all the kids this too, so they know. 2 college visits. Let me just clear this up just for, because kids obviously can be virtual if they're visiting their colleges. What this basically is saying that if I have to travel somewhere, you get an extra day. But what's happened in the past is kids have used college visits to take a week of vacation or a 2-week vacation. So there's no reason why kids can't be in class when they need to be in class now. So if you go on a college visit, your tour might be at 10:30 in the morning, and then you can't help it but to miss class. But you also shouldn't be gone for an entire week because you have a college visit and miss class. Like you can hop on virtually now. So that's what that kind of means, is like you just can't take weeks off of school and just not do school and sit on the beach somewhere. So that's what that kind of means. So any questions about that, please let me know.
You're doing good, Cami. There's no questions in the chat. I answered a couple questions about vowels and cells, but otherwise you're doing good for questions.
Okay. And I guess what we're asking is just, please don't stop parenting. I mean, especially during a pandemic, kids almost kind of revert back to, I mean, they're gonna look to you for guidance. Do those things that you were doing in the past. Have a curfew for the kids. Check in and have them talk to you when they get home, so you can see that they're okay, but you can also smell them, which is a weird thing, but you learn a lot if you are paying attention when they get home. We've had, check through their stuff, check through just take a walk through their bedroom once in a while, look in their backpack, see what's going on with them, and just make sure that they are okay. Between the time when the kids are done with school and the time that they graduate, there's like that weird week, and kids don't have anything to do academically. They maybe don't have start their summer jobs yet. And they just have like this tons of time all of a sudden, like sports are done. Just make sure that just keep an eye on them during that week, so they don't get themselves into big trouble and then not be able to walk across the stage. They've worked way too hard to get to the end and then not be able to walk. So just please pay attention on that. I'm going to go through a bunch of different senior events that we have planned for the rest of the year. And so here's what I'm just asking you is, parents' emotions right now, especially, seniors are going to look for you, especially during this pandemic. It just adds another layer of stress and uncertainty for all of us. What you need to remember is during these uncertain times, kids at any age will look to their parents for guidance on how to feel. So if you're getting excited about the events that I'm about to tell you about, then they're going to get excited. But if you're feeling like, oh, well, last year they did this, or, oh, other years they've done this, or when I was in high school, we did this, or things like that, then kids will long for those same things. And so I'm just asking you to get excited. They'll get excited. We really want to show our seniors on how to be grateful for things that they have instead of worrying about things that we can't have. And it's just a really good life lesson for them too. Like, obviously we know that they can endure a lot and they're super flexible, but we just want to make sure that we bring that good lesson forward in life. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit just so you can see the dates as I'm talking through them. So here's some save the dates for you. And if these aren't on the website, they will be soon. So our first thing is this Friday. We're going to have a senior winter event outside. So this is going to be at Oak Hill Park. It's just 10 to 2, a couple hours. I know it's going to be chilly on Friday, of course. Sledding, there's 2 skating rinks. There's some senior leaders that are putting together like a pond hockey tournament. Just there's actually a teacher who's trying to put together a teacher team, which will be kind of
that ain't gonna happen here.
Mike J, you want to hop out there? Show them what
you should do it, Cammie.
No, nobody wants to see me on skates. Nope.
I could maybe pray with the team, but that's as far as it would go.
Okay, appreciate it.
This event is not required, right? The February 5th event? No,
absolutely not. We're just trying to put together events that are optional for seniors to be together. So the biggest thing that we've heard from seniors, I put out a Google Doc for kids to tell me what kind of fun do you want to have for the rest of the school year. And we've had so many kids that have written back and said, we just want to be together. So whatever you can do to get us together. So this is just one thing so they can get together. There's a paths around, they can walk around. We'll have hot chocolate and some things for them. Yeah. So it'll be nice just for them to be together. It'll be kind of chilly. So
okay, wait, Cammie, there's a question from one of our I think it's a parent volunteer coming. She wants to know that she just has to show up, right? She does not have to put on skates or anything like that.
No, you just need to come. And honestly, any parents can come, even if you didn't sign up for, to be a chaperone. If you want to just watch the kids together, just come on out. It's going to be great, but bundle up.
But it's all outside, right?
It's all outside. It's 2 hours, 10 to noon. And they got to bring their own skates. I told the kids they got to wear helmets if they're going to play hockey. We don't need any concussions on a fun day. So the next one is a father-daughter event. That's going to be Saturday, February 20th. And I think an email has already gone out from the Parent Association, but again, the information is on the website. It's going to be at Top Golf, Brooklyn Center, 7 to 9. And then the mother-son event is going to be Sunday, April 18th. I'm not sure on the location right now. And they were thinking it might be just for seniors, but they also might be able to, depending on how many sign up, they might be able to have juniors as well, but I don't know yet on that one.
And Kimmy, can I go back to this Friday thing? I see that one of our parent organizers is saying we could use a few more, Kristen, I think that's you, isn't it, Kristen Hansberry, that we could use a few more volunteers for Friday.
Oh,
So how can, yes, thumbs up. Kristen, how do parents sign up to do that then? You can unmute if you want to unmute too. We'll find out.
Yeah, I'd have to I'd have to figure out how to do that, right? There was a sign up genius that went out. I think there was one that went out yesterday, maybe. So that's one way. Or as Cami said, just show up.
yeah.
Thank you.
We'll take what we can get.
Yeah, it should be fun. I'm excited. Mother-son event, Sunday, April 18th. And again, Parent Association is working on that one. I'm not sure if they have a location yet. And then the Senior Alumni Breakfast and Community Day, that's going to be Thursday, April 29th. That's going to be on campus here, and that'll be 8 to noon. And that's where they'll have their breakfast and get together with alumni virtually, but then we'll also have some fun things for the kids to do as well.
And that's just the students for the Senior Alumni Breakfast.
Yes,
Not
that's
parents.
Yep, that's just the seniors, and then there will be alumni that are visiting virtually. So, prom, Saturday, May 8th. That's all I can tell you right now.
Save the date.
Is the date. The plan is to have it outside, but in a covered area. So even if it's raining, we can still hold it. But then having it outside gives us a little more flexibility as well. So, but more details will come as we solidify things. So, any questions as far as any of these? I'll
Yeah,
stop.
I mean, there's a couple questions in the chat. Couple questions. One, the dance for father-daughter, is it like prior years? Is it a dress-up event? And I think the answer is that these events will be different because we're gonna have to follow these mitigation strategies. Kristen Hansberry, do you know if mother or father-daughter, how that's gonna work? And the answer can be
It's at Top Golf. So I would say no to the dressing up unless you want to.
okay.
I mean, it's perfectly fine, but it's more of an interactive golfing kind of event.
Okay. Kind of a different, it's not like it has been in the past, but it is an event. And they'll get more information out too.
Absolutely.
Other questions, Cami, are about prom.
If you've ever played golf before, it's kind of an indoor-outdoor. So I would dress warm because it's not going to be, you hit the ball and it goes actually outside. It's not like a simulator.
Oh. Interesting. Okay.
The nice thing is they're all like different little pods, and the
Mhm.
pods have overhead heaters. And I've gone in the winter before. It's actually, I mean, you want to bring a coat, but it's not cold.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then another question, Cami, is about prom. Are non-BSM dates allowed at prom?
Yet to be determined. I had that question earlier today, actually.
Yeah, that's a tough one because the numbers are going to be an issue. We also talked about what if a senior wants to bring a junior to prom and we're saying it's only seniors. How will that work? We'll figure that out though. We'll probably have to get some input from seniors too. I'm sure they would want to bring if they are dating somebody from another school. We'll have to get back to you on that one. Another question, are any of these events mandatory for the seniors other than the Senior Alumni Day, which is during the school day? I think the answer is no. you know, I think graduation practice is mandatory if you're going to be at graduation. And I would hope that everyone just would be at graduation. But I think all these events, at least what I'm seeing as we scroll through, are not mandatory.
No, these listed here are optional.
Okay, I'm looking at questions. Looks like if I missed a question, put it back in there because I think I'm caught up. And again, not your only shot. Let's see. Yes. So we have that graduation fee, right? And then there's fees to attend these different events. But if you need financial help, you would contact directly to Shanae Cisco, who is the one you've been working with all along in terms of tuition and that sort of thing. So make sure that if you need some assistance with the fees that go with some of these different events, reach out to Shanae Cisco and she can work with you on that. And the idea behind that is that we want to make it easy for everybody to attend. Bottom line. Okay, a couple questions. Time of graduation is 7 p.m. And then a question is about the backup plan of rain or for outdoor commencement. So if it rains, and again, literally, I am a praying every night. If it rains at graduation, we will have to go inside. We ended up having to do that last year. We can fit all of our seniors in the Great Hall. Worst case scenario is the seniors are in the Great Hall and then parents are in the parking lot and they can watch everything on the big screen. And you'd be surprised at how nice those big screens are. But believe me, that's the worst case scenario. Last year when we talked about it, we sort of had this thought that if it's just kind of a, you know, like a light rain, you know, pop up your umbrella and let's just do it outside and the rain kind of passes. Now, if it's a deluge, or like last year where it was a severe storm, oh my gosh, that that was awful. It just would have been so nice outside. It was too bad. I mean, it worked out fine. Everybody got their diploma and, you know, the screens ended up being a lifesaver. But the backup plan is to go into the Great Hall with all of our seniors, and then parents can watch from the parking lot. Oh, now here it says, our church can hold 500 to 600 people. Have you thought about using churches? No, but that's a great suggestion. As a backup, if we think it's going to rain, that's a great suggestion. Oh, okay. No, I did not think of that. I will be thinking of that. That's interesting.
Actually, before the Haven Center was built, we did use churches for graduation. We were at Basilica during the last years before the Haven Center was built.
You know, my daughters went to Hill Murray. They graduated at the cathedral. Oh man. Okay, so here's a question for you. Would we ever just decide it would be at a church and not on campus to hedge our bet against rain? I'm gonna have to get some more feedback on this. Okay. All right, we're looking at that. Good. Thank you. Let's see, I'm looking at other questions. How about other questions? Yeah, churches could also be used for baccalaureate potentially, yep. All right. Okay, well, it looks like we're doing pretty good and we're 5 minutes early. Here a question, what if we didn't receive the Sign Up Genius to volunteer? How do you get the link? Kristen, do we want to just send that link? I think just show up. Don't worry about signing up. I mean, it's what, in 2 days from now, just come.
I'm pretty sure it went out in a MailChimp yesterday to senior parents only. So it should be, if you just scroll through your mail from yesterday, your email from yesterday, you may be able to find it. I don't know if there's a link on the website, but otherwise just show up.
Just show up.
It could be fun for the parents too.
I'll find jobs for all of you. Don't worry.
And another question is, have we thought about pushing prom out later in May to be warmer for being outside? I think it was a question of getting that space. Though we got the latest date available. Good question. Anything else? And again, not your only shot at questions, but all right. Well, look at this. We're 4 minutes early.
Woohoo.
Again, you guys, I really appreciate everything. The parents have been so incredibly supportive. So today in our mailboxes, maybe it was even yesterday, I guess, or the days are blurry here. Within the last couple of days, in our mailboxes, the Parent Association, which is all of you, you all belong to the Parent Association, had these super cute, like backpack BSM branded things. It was yesterday, Lisa Linhart Murphy says. These BSM branded backpacks. It was in every single one of our boxes with a cute note. We got these little sunshine or sunflower seedling boxes that you can grow a plant. I don't know. The cheering today was cheering, cowbells and hooting and hollering, and everybody came in. That was awesome. The signs are still up. So if you're wondering, do we appreciate how much the parents are supporting us? Yes, we feel the love. I got to tell you, the parents have been incredible, and we feel so supported and so loved. And thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, well, we will sign off. And if you have any questions, feel free to email and we will get back to you. And then also that Senior Parent Resources page, look for information in the nightly news. And then we also have, a parent email that goes out. Kristen mentioned that Sign Up Genius went out on MailChimp. That's one separate server. When I send emails, it's on our school messenger. So MailChimp sometimes can bounce things back, but we can keep track of our server that we send out emails. So I'll make sure that things don't get bounced back or get stuck in Cyberland. So again, Ms. Dahlstrom, thank you. Mr. J, thank you. Parents, thank you. We are working hard to make sure that your students have a wonderful last few months of their senior year at BSM. So thank you. Have a great night. Take care, you guys.
Bye.
Thank you.